10's Late News with Natarsha Belling.
Tonight, the man accused of detonating a huge car bomb in Sydney labelled a public danger. Australia's security forces working up to a major anti-terrorist operation, and a 6-year-old girl badly hurt in an amusement park accident. Hello. First, a man described as a public danger has been remanded in custody after facing court charged with detonating a massive car bomb in Sydney's west. Police allege a search of his house uncovered a host of bomb-making chemicals.
The car bomb, which left behind this crater, was heard up to 20 kilometres away. Police estimate 100 kilograms of chemical explosive was used, enough to fling pieces of the car up to 350 metres away. 28-year-old Mark Avery was spotted by police running out of the paddock where the blast happened and arrested. He's allegedly admitted making the bomb with a cocktail of chemicals, with more found later when police swooped on a house which Avery shared with his mother. The chemicals included ammonium nitrate fertiliser, which was used in the Bali bombings, methyl ketone peroxide and acetone, all available over the counter. The dangerous mixtures quickly dealt with by explosives experts. Today, police told Parramatta Court the bomb Avery constructed was as big as the one used by Timothy McVeigh, which killed 168 people in Oklahoma City in 1995. The police prosecutor warning the court should keep in mind whether he had any other intention, considering the current environment of world terrorism. The court was told that Avery became obsessed with explosives after surfing the net, then went shopping at swimming pool outlets, farm suppliers and hardware stores for his lethal ingredients. Despite being told that he detonated his crude dirty bomb for his self-gratification, the registrar described him as a danger and refused bail. Avery will be back in court tomorrow as police continue their search of the blast area for more evidence. Tim Collins, 10 News.
Australia's security forces are preparing for the most ambitious anti-terrorism operation ever undertaken here. Codenamed Mercury 04, the exercise will take place in March to test the readiness of law enforcement and emergency services to the threat of chemical or biological attacks.
It means you have to be taking all necessary steps to ensure that if such an event occurred, you were in a position to act promptly and quickly.
The exercise will cost $15 million. A mid-air drama in America as a passenger claiming to have a bomb demanded to be flown to Australia. US security forces were scrambled to Washington's Dulles International Airport, to which the American Airlines plane was diverted. The flight was supposed to land at Reagan National Airport near the centre of the city. Law enforcement officers and sniffer dogs checked all luggage on the flight and conducted a sweep of the plane before clearing it to continue its trip. The passenger is now in FBI custody. A holiday tragedy on the Gold Coast where a 6-year-old girl was critically injured in an amusement park accident. She was thrown from a fast-moving ride and suffered severe head injuries.
Grey clouds and rain hung over a subdued carnival today while workplace safety officers pieced the puzzle together. They and showmen who gather at Broadbeach in the holidays each year have to know how and why the girl fell. It's thought she tried to stand in her seat as the ride spun last night. A terrified operator shut it down quickly.
He immediately hit the stop button, but unfortunately the child was thrown from the ride.
She hit her head on the machinery as she fell.
I just did what I had to do, that was it. You know, you can understand there's a child on the ground. I did what I had to do.
The victim was rushed to a Gold Coast hospital by ambulance, then by helicopter to Brisbane specialists. The parents of the little girl have remained by her side in the intensive care unit. The Sydney family is believed to holiday annually on the Gold Coast and visit the carnival often. Showmen are distraught, unable to express their sorrow.
How do you think? How do you think? Everybody's heart's in it, yeah.
The girl remains in a critical but stable condition after surgery this afternoon. Mark Zulo, 10 News.
Police believe a body discovered in a Sydney unit block could be that of a young woman who disappeared 7 weeks ago. A maintenance worker found the body in a sports bag in the basement of the block. Police are waiting positive identification before confirming the body is 18-year-old Lindsay Van Blanken.
Clothing and jewellery discovered on the body is consistent with the jewellery and clothing that was on Lindsay Van Blanken at the time of her disappearance.
Ms Van Blanken was last seen about 400 metres from the units. A man linked to a Sydney pool hall murder last week has faced court. Wang Nguyen allegedly told another man to fire the gunshots that killed 18-year-old Linda Hewen and seriously wounded a second person. In court, police described Nguyen as the head of a dangerous criminal syndicate based in Sydney's southwest with a lengthy criminal history of violence and intimidation. Bail was refused and the case is due back in court in 10 days. Still to come in 10's late news, a late night lark ends in tragedy. Also putting koalas on the pill to save them from themselves. And the fumes finally clearing after the annual Summer Nats Festival.
A cop is murdered and the force wants revenge. 8:30 tonight.
Who called the local news?
What makes this case great is the killer verdict. Law and Order, 8:30 tonight on 10.
And that strings with the score poised at 272. There's certainly still some life in this pitch, which...
Yeah, be popular too with you and saving people over $5,000 on Australia's best family car. 03 Ford Falcon XT Autos. Now with 3 17-inch alloys, body kit, sports suspension and spoiler at just $32,990. Save over $5,000. It's full-on savings and the full-on Ford official factory clearance, but only at your Ford dealer.
Audiocom's big summer sellout with up to 70% off. Thumping 12-inch Sony, Pioneer and Cougar subwoofers from $99. The latest CD tuners from Sony, Pioneer and Panasonic from $199. Pioneer and Sony Explode MP3 CD tuners from $299. Nisa in-car TV and DVD player with bonus headphones only $999, save $500. Audiocom, 12 big stores, call 132 889.
When the war begins, a legend will rise, an empire will fall, and a new reign of terror will emerge.
Time to die. Not before you.
Underworld
at cinemas January 22.
The Waifs' stunning ARIA award-winning album is up all night. 12 sensational tracks. The Waifs' outstanding Up All Night. It's in stores now.
2 gin and tonics, 2 vodkas and a scotch. 2 gin and tonics, 2 vodkas and a scotch. 2 gin and tonics, 2 vodkas and a scotch.
Yes?
5 Cougars, thanks.
Cougar, real smooth bourbon. Okay, whoever's trying to kill Detective Monk, could you, give it a rest?
Adrian!
He's got enough on his plate.
2 nights ago, he called me at 4 a.m. because he saw a cockroach.
It was pretty big. Catch Monk, 9:30 tonight on 10.
You're watching 10's Late News. The body of a 22-year-old Perth man has been recovered from a dam south of the city. It's believed he drowned after jumping from a tower 25 metres above the water.
Water police found the body almost 35 metres below the water's surface and directly below the tower the 22-year-old had jumped from around 7:30 last night. The man, his brother and 3 friends had enjoyed a barbecue at a nearby lake when they decided to go to the dam for a swim.
They've just come up through tracks through the bush area to get up to the dam. It's quite easy to walk up, it's not hard.
The group ignored at least 2 locked gates and several no swimming signs.
I believe alcohol is a big factor in this. Even sober, it's probably still very dangerous to jump off this tower.
The first of the group to jump from the 25-metre tower was hurt, but that didn't stop his friend becoming the next to make the daring plunge.
We believe that his head has made contact with the water first and rendered him unconscious, and from there he's just sunk.
Police were called when the man failed to surface, carrying out ground and air searches overnight. Early this morning, the dam's inlet valves were shut down so police divers could check the water. Family members watched helplessly as the body was finally located just after midday. The area has been reopened to the public and the Water Corporation says it will investigate the incident. Jacinda Birch, 10 News.
And a grim year on Western Australia's roads already, with 7 deaths recorded, 2 more than the same time last year. Early this morning, a 24-year-old man died when his car hit a tree on the northwest coastal highway near Northampton. Earlier, a 54-year-old man from Kellerberrin died when his ute ran into the back of a road train on a gravel road. On Friday night, a 19-year-old man was killed when his Commodore slammed into a suburban power pole. A party that got out of hand on Queensland's Sunshine Coast ended with 18 arrests. 450 gatecrashers turned a celebration at Mudroom into a near riot that took 3 hours to control. Almost 30 police were called to disperse the uninvited revellers, several officers suffering minor injuries from thrown objects. A police car also coming off second best. 5 of the 18 people arrested during the clash were juveniles. And on the Gold Coast, a party ended with an attempted murder charge after 2 men were slashed with a samurai sword. A 20-year-old man was arrested. The party turning ugly when an altercation between a group of males allegedly prompted the sword attack. A 29-year-old man was taken to hospital with a severe wound to his back, another treated for a cut to his arm. Family planning is coming to Victoria's overcrowded koala colonies in the form of a contraception implant. The potential for international outcry has ruled out any cull of the cuddly creatures.
They're cute, cuddly and seemingly out of control. Threatened species in the 1930s, Victoria's koalas are eating themselves out of house and home.
We have a number of populations in a number of our national parks and on public land where the trees that the koala feed on are being severely browsed. They are starving. There's a potential for them to starve.
In response, Parks and Wildlife officers will expand a successful pilot project in which thousands of female koalas will be caught and implanted with a contraceptive which lasts up to 6 years.
Our only means of controlling the population are by controlling reproduction.
The ambitious safe sex experiment likely to begin on French Island in Western Port Bay. If successful, it'll be expanded around the country. The idea of a koala cull knocked on the head. Too bitter a pill for the public to swallow.
It is a public relations issue, but it would be a very, very difficult one to overcome.
I don't think anyone would want to see a cull of koalas if that can be avoided.
But while Victoria's acting Premier was cuddling up to Melbourne Zoo's Lily, one crowded koala colony off the coast of southeast Victoria won't be so lucky. The contraception trial coming too late for the starving residents of Raymond Island.
It may be for veterinary reasons there will need to be some koalas that are euthanized.
Gerard Cholton, 10 News.
Ceremonies around the nation have marked the annual blessing of the waters, the Christian Orthodox community marking the occasion with a splash.
The tradition is passionately continued by the young. Thousands of Greek Orthodox members flocking to the sea to commemorate the baptism of Jesus Christ, young men vying to be the one who retrieves the Holy Cross from the deep. An overwhelming honour for the winner, who's been trying for 11 years.
I believe it's a blessing from God for me to catch it. Maybe this is my year.
Pride spilling over for Mum.
I'm so proud. I've been watching him from a little boy when he was in the altar at church every year, come and try and catch the Holy Cross. And he's finally done it today.
It's not just the nation's large Greek population that celebrate. Serbian, Ukrainian and Romanian communities mark the occasion right along the Australian coast. Labor leader Mark Latham took part in the Melbourne ceremony. Cool conditions didn't deter the swimmers. In Sydney, hundreds of competitors jumped in, the winner mobbed by onlookers. But the ceremony's not the only ritual. A traditional feast and festivities will go well into the night. Margie McClue, 10 News.
Canberra will be a little quieter this week after petrol heads from right around the nation head home after this year's summer nats. The fumes beginning to settle after 4 days of high-octane entertainment.
There's a golden rule at summer nats. The more noise, the more fumes, the more flames, the more the crowd loves it. No one's quite sure what this half-jet, half-delivery van was designed for, but it's a people-pleaser. Tyre-popping burnouts were the order of the day, and if the crowd couldn't see through the choking fumes, the sound of exploding rubber spelt triumph. And if blowing off smoke on the track wasn't enough, there was more of the same in the sky. And when it comes to trackside trendsetters, Move Over Melbourne Cup, Summer Nats style is all about the sombrero.
Now in its 17th year, Summer Nats has become a mecca for die-hard petrol heads. 110,000 of them gathered from all over the country, from all walks of life.
The next generation of rev heads was there in their hundreds, and they know what they like.
The burnouts. The donuts. They do burnouts.
You love the burnouts? Are you a rev head?
Yeah.
Last night, Summer Nats crowds witnessed history. Daredevil Lawrence Legend breaking his own world record, jumping a double-decker bus over 38 motorbikes.
We've virtually doubled the old world record, so yeah, I'm pretty happy, and it didn't hurt a bit, which is really good.
The motoring madness wraps up tonight until next year. Catherine Philp, 10 News.
Stay with us till ahead in 10's late news. First pictures of Britain's newest royal. Also, a shopkeeper puts the heat on would-be hold-up merchants. Then in sports tonight, a dramatic collapse by Zimbabwe hands victory to the Aussies.
And he deserves it.
American Idol 3 is coming to 10, and the biggest reason to watch is this man.
You are the worst singer in America.
From the UK to the US, Simon Cowell has the whole world talking.
Don't sing, that was terrible.
In the biggest musical event of the summer, he's going to cut them down to size.
That was extraordinary.
Thank you.
Extraordinarily bad.
Critical, constructive, controversial.
And you're deaf.
Oh, hell no!
See Mr. Nasty in action. American Idol 3 premieres January 25 on 10.
Come to Rowe Jarman's really cheap sale for t-shirts from only $16, shorts from $15, singlets from $15, senior footwear from only $39, and Adidas backpacks from just $14. The really cheap sale. Cheap prices now at Rowe Jarman.
There you go, sir. Here's your denture repair.
Emergency denture repairs will improve your aging smile.
This summer,
Do you think maybe you could put your shirt back on?
for a guy who likes to play it safe,
I assess risk for a living, so I try to avoid danger.
nothing is more hazardous
Rat in the house!
He's a ferret. You can't really see anymore.
than falling in love.
You mind if I use your bathroom?
Ben Stiller. Oh no. Jennifer Aniston. Along Came Polly.
In cinemas, January 22.
It's another scorcher in Perth today. 39 degrees and no end in sight. This is 86.6 FM.
Crikey, she's making me work hard again. Look at all the energy it's taken for me to blow the hot air out of this place. If only she'd open the doors and windows to let the natural airflow flush the hot air out before switching me on. She'd save heaps on her power bill.
For smart ways to save on your power bill this summer, call Western Power.
Oh man, I'm losing my cool.
The Waifs' stunning ARIA award-winning album is up all night. 12 sensational tracks. The Waifs' outstanding Up All Night. It's in stores now.
Come to Rowe Jarman's really cheap sale for women's tops from only $16, shirts from $19, slides from $19, sports school shoes from only $29, and Reebok backpacks from just $14. The really cheap sale. Cheap prices now at Rowe Jarman.
The 56-year-old man found alive after 13 days buried in the rubble of Iran's earthquake-shattered city of Bam has died. Doctors say he never woke from his coma. Meanwhile, Brisbane has hosted a fundraising concert for the survivors. A capacity crowd filling Brisbane Town Hall for the show, which included performances from local Persian musicians. All proceeds go to the Red Cross. The aid organisation joined the UN to set up a fundraising target of $95 million to help rebuild the city of Bam, which was destroyed on Boxing Day. Growing frustration among Iraqi civilians has again erupted in bloodshed. A protest turning deadly when local police and British troops fired bullets into a large rally.
With more than half the population out of work, many locals are frustrated with the new administration. More than 1,500 men took to the streets as part of ongoing demonstrations. After about an hour, things started getting rowdy. Then the march turned chaotic and violent. Iraqi police firing into the crowd. Some ran, others threw stones and, according to British authorities, grenades. British forces moved in to try and restore order, but say they became a target for grenade throwers. An eyewitness claims there were big bangs and shockwaves, but the situation was very confusing. Soldiers shot back, they say in self-defence, killing one, wounding another. But British authorities say Iraqi police did most of the shooting. It remains uncertain just who initiated the bloodshed, but it is the second violent protest in that part of the country in less than a week. Also in southern Iraq, Danish troops have found dozens of mortar rounds, which chemical weapons tests show could contain blister gas.
We've cordoned the area, we've secured the area. We suspect that this is ordnance that may have been left over from the Iran-Iraq war in the early 80s.
The weapons were buried. A UK nuclear and biological regiment is carrying out further tests. Paul Kennedy, 10 News.
More violence in the Middle East, where stone-throwing Palestinians have clashed with Israeli forces on the West Bank. The youths hurling stones and cement bricks at troops who responded with rubber bullets and smoke bombs. A number of Palestinians were wounded and taken to hospitals for treatment. The latest violence came as the Palestinian Authority declared its commitment to a two-state solution to the area's crisis. A tragic end to another people smuggling operation with 21 Albanians dead after their inflatable dinghy capsized. Most of the victims drowned or froze to death while their boat drifted at the mercy of wild seas off the Albanian coast. Attempts by Italian Navy helicopters to locate the boat at night failed because of bad weather. At first light, the Coast Guard managed to rescue 11 survivors, all illegal migrants trying to reach Italy in fast boats run by smuggling networks. Many such attempts coming to grief. A wild shootout in the United States has been caught on the security cameras of a convenience store. The bandits were lucky to survive after the shop clerk opened fire.
As quickly as they stormed in the store, the robbers were out again. The clerk left with a bullet in his shoulder. Why did he put up a fight? Stephen Eads told us why today from his hospital bed.
I really truly believe that I would have died.
As the robbers ran out the door, Eads got back on his feet, opening fire at them. He says barely missing one of them.
I dived face first to the floor, and I pulled my pistol as I rolled over. The guy reached across the counter and shot me, and so I realized as he's laying on the counter that all I have to do is lift and fire.
Back on his feet, he calls 911, waiting for help and worrying about what would happen to his family if he died.
You know, if push comes to shove, they're not going to push me.
Buckingham Palace has released the first official pictures of Britain's youngest royal. The photos of Lady Louise Windsor, 8th in line to the throne, were taken by her uncle, the Duke of York.
The new parents with their daughter, full name Lady Louise Alice Elizabeth Mary Mountbatten Windsor. She's the Queen's 7th grandchild and 8th in line to the throne. The Countess of Wessex says Lady Louise resembles her father, but as so often with babies, sometimes likenesses can only be spotted by the family. The pictures were taken over Christmas at Sandringham. Rather than a professional, it was the family photographer, Prince Andrew, who was entrusted with his niece's first portfolio. This was said to have made for a relaxed photo session. The last time Lady Louise was seen was when she left hospital 2 weeks after her birth. It had been a traumatic time for the Wessexes. The Earl was abroad when the baby was born a month premature. There was a delay in calling the ambulance for the Countess, who had an emergency caesarean operation here at